Hello, folks. My name is Ernest. Thank you for being here. Now, I'm going to say some outrageous things here. All I ask is that you listen to the end. And if you think I'm full of shit, reach out to me and say so. Let's be honest. Most people want and are working very hard to have a better life. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what exactly constitutes a better life? On the surface, it would seem entirely subjective. A better paying job, a better or bigger home, or perhaps even a better life partner. And most people believe that with a better paying job, just that alone would certainly make everything else much more possible. Fortunately for you, I'm not most people, and I'm here to tell you that actually the entire opposite is usually true. I'm going to share with you something that few people actually realize. Notice I didn't say no, I said realize, because there's a very big difference between knowing something and realizing it. A perfect example of this is when life partners split up. I knew a couple once that on the surface, people thought their relationship was rock solid. But the reality was, the man was a high functioning alcoholic. And as these things typically go, over the years, the alcohol wore him down physically and mentally. It was dramatically affecting his livelihood and relationships. And one by one, he lost those relationships, including what should have been the most important one, his wife. His wife had basically tried everything to get him to stop drinking, and in desperation gave him an ultimatum, telling him that if he didn't stop drinking, she was going to leave him. When I talked about this to him a few years later, in retrospect, he said at the time he knew that she was serious. But the truth was, his selfish addiction became more important than anything else in his life, even her. But when he came home from a week-long business trip to a house with all of her things gone and a letter on the kitchen counter, was the only time he said he finally realized the gravity of his life choices. It was over. Fortunately, they didn't have any children. Now, very briefly before I continue, if you're enjoying this episode, please do subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss an episode, because with the more subscriptions I get, the more people get to experience a very different perspective on subjects such as this. Now, back to the episode. So getting back to the original, here's what I'm hoping you will realize. When you have to do something very important, such as your taxes or your finances, anything that requires clear thought and attention to detail, would you choose to do those things at a crowded bar on a Friday night, or at a performance, or perhaps a Sunday night football party? Of course not. Now, what if I told you that even so-called normal daily social interaction has the same or even greater negative effect on your mental stability as the situation I just finished describing? Just so you don't misunderstand, I'm not saying that you have to live most of your life like a fucking monk in a monastery. I'm simply saying, in order to really get your life together, you can't be scatterbrained and distracted. So in order for that to happen, you need peace, quiet, and solitude. Just think, when was the last time in your own living space you had peace, quiet, and solitude for even just a few days, or hell, even just a few hours? If you haven't, and if that's something you can make happen, I can tell you with absolute certainty that once you do, and begin to experience improved physical and mental energy, it will be like a revelation. And I'm not saying that lightly. Now, I don't have the time to go into this in great detail, but what I'm about to tell you may shock you. First, it's been known for many years by not only powerful world leaders, but marketing criminals, that masses of people are much easier to control and manipulate when they are distracted. And the louder and more distraction, the better. Hence the reason we are constantly bombarded with various forms of noise and distraction, such as endless advertising. Secondly, despite what we've been told, and again, I'm not going into a huge explanation of this, humans are not social creatures, at least not in the sense of the control mechanism narrative that has been endlessly hammered into our consciousness since childhood for the entirety of our lives. This is one of the primary reasons why communism/socialism hasn't worked, because the very simple truth is that humans are not really wired for it. It is contrary to our nature. To put this as succinctly as possible, man's relationship to man can be summarized best by the late great Leonard Cohen, quote, "I will help you if I can, kill you if I must." Now, I totally realize these two statements may seem outrageous, and I'm not going into lengthy scientific sociological studies. I don't claim to be a sociologist. I'll just state the facts. It's been proven many times that academic accreditation is no guarantee of objective truth, and countless times academics have been proven wrong. They are not gods, and sometimes they can be completely full of shit, and even know it, yet continuing to write books, doing lecture tours, and/or having nice, cushy, well-paid, tenured positions at universities. The word salad bullshit artist extraordinaire, Jordan Peterson, comes to mind. In conclusion, all I'm simply trying to say is that sometimes you really don't need a weatherman.
Oh, sorry, they meant weather person. Don't want to offend anyone.
To tell you which way the wind blows. Until next time, this is Ernest, and it's all I've got for today.